doing my live thing right now, but I'm setting up my Instagram too, so pardon my shuffling here. Okay, so here we are. Instagram Live is going on up in here. La 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 la. Live. We're live. We are live. We are live. It's another Wednesday. It's another day. It's another day. It's another week. It's another month. It's May 1st already. And I just wanted to hop on here as my consistent duty to y'all. I wanted to just say hello, and I wanted to remind you guys that I'm here on Wednesdays to kind of, field any questions, have discussions about what it means to be a creative, what it means to be an artist, what it means to actually also try to make a living out of your art and your creativity. Hello, James Thompson and Rajita. Hello. Not sure if you have any questions for me today, but if not, I'm just going to keep riffing because I have so much to say all the time. But yeah, this week I've been really trying to focus on just this balance of finding balance in this world, right? We live in a world that is very much kind of directed by a lot of systems and logic and efficiency, because we've come out of this industrial age into this kind of technology information age. And we're still kind of, even though we're transitioning into a new age, hey, Dijon, even though we're transitioning into a new age, we're kind of using archaic old systems and mindsets that are proving slowly to be irrelevant to us as far as our society and our civilization and also commerce and industry. So for us as creatives, like we've been feeling this kind of struggle of trying to fit in a box, right? As far as like for a long time, we've been operating as okay, like we need to be hamsters on the wheel, hustling and doing this thing and producing according to these external metrics and hitting all these numbers, right? But we felt that kind of clunkiness. But now it's more so evident because of this new age that we're coming out of and going into. And I think it's showing us this new age that we're going into is really showing us that a lot of the things that we're doing aren't sustainable, first of all. And it's like begging us to go back to our humanity, right? Because we're not made to be creatures of efficiency and production at all times, at every single hour of the day, let alone are we supposed to be stimulated at all hours of the day, right? And so we've become also really aware of all of these like trends in our world of like mental health crises and just, drugs, addictions, right? Of all sorts all sorts. And we've also started diagnosing our own children with all of these disorders as if, maybe the issue is that our system is kind of not set up for us. And we're actually trying to force our children into boxes that they shouldn't fit into, but instead it's easier to just diagnose them as ADHD or ADD or having behavioral problems or whatever. And that thought hasn't really, crossed a lot of people's minds. I mean, we're starting to talk about it now, but I say all this to say just of the changing times and how it relates to artists is that, we've always felt this way, that we have always been like different. And we've always think about things as if, we see things in a new perspective. We see things differently. And we felt that clunkiness of trying to fit ourselves into boxes that we don't necessarily fit into. And now I feel like because things are catching up to what the artists see and the artists feel, now we're like, okay, now it's time for us to really start talking, to really start using our art to advocate for change, to try on and show new ways of thinking and being. And it's always the way of the artist, right? To be able to very sneakily, like, present new ideas, present new ways of thinking and being and doing. And it's such a beautiful medium, art as a whole, like whether it be visual, audio, visual, everything, right? All of those ways are just ways of communicating stories, communicating ideas, communicating change, honestly. And also, most importantly, communicates, or it fosters connection with other people. Because when was the last time that you like opened up and were vulnerable about something, an issue that you had, and then all of a sudden someone's like, oh, I have that issue too, I have the issue too. And so all of a sudden it garners this like community around it. um but I'm saying all this to say, we are in a time where artists value is being seen and recognized, but also it's kind of being taken away from us as far as the power that we have in our art. We're still operating under this weird old way of thinking that like we don't have value because of, yeah, circa industrial revolution days, right? Where it's just been about systems efficiency production, and artists aren't fitting into that box. So, but again, now we're transitioning to new age where it's like, oh no, arts are valued because arts are the things that move people. They actually move people to do things. I mean, you don't have to look very far to look at some sort of ad campaign, and some sort of art or movement is usually being highlighted to be able to promote a product or service so that you can buy it, right, as a consumer. And so people are seeing this value, and also people now are creating experiential kind of like events where it's not just about a transaction, right? You're getting something that you pay for and you're receiving it as like a product, but it's about a whole experience and like an immersive experience, whether it be through wellness or just entertainment, right? You're seeing all these like new places where like it's like the new bowling, right? You go to the bowling alley, you do something together with your friends, and it's an experience, and you go together to experience it, right? So you'll see all these like Monet Van Gogh kind of experiences, or if you know of Meow Wolf, if you're in the region and you know of Meow Wolf art experience, that's really popular here in the Dallas area now. What else is going on? I mean, like just in general, events coming are coming up, and they're showing their popularity because people are like, oh, I want connection. Oh, I want to feel like I'm human again, and that's basically what's happening. But I wanted to kind of say this because I want to really reiterate that, as for me, as a business and mindset coach for creatives, I'm really like passionate about the fact that, artists first off have immense value, right? And so we need to understand that. And I do think that a lot of artists do not understand that, because of programming, honestly, because we're told in society that the only way to be an artist is a starving artist, not a successful artist. But we are seeing people come through the cracks and are able to create really sustainable careers from their artistry. But beyond that, as far as, what the impact of arts can do for not only yourself as the artist and the creator, but for the greater world, is I lost my train of thought. Sorry, I get like so excited about this stuff, and I'm like, my mind goes in so many different directions. But the importance for an artist, once they realize and they embody that value, or once they realize their value and actually embody it and start operating and creating from that place, like the possibilities are endless. Like you may not believe in all of the laws of manifestation or whatnot, but it is an energetic principle, and energetic principles exist in the world. And so the energy you put out, the energy you're going to return. So if you're putting out an energy that's like, hey, I'm powerful, hey, I'm valuable, and I'm really coming from that place, it's only going to return to you. It doesn't make sense that it would return to you in a different form, right? Where it's all jagged and stuff. So similarly, if you're putting out jagged, kind of like small, minuscule minded, you know, energy where you're like, I'm just hoping that I can make some money from this art, or like I'm hoping that I can make the impact that I want. And then what is returning to you is going to be the same thing. It's going to be that like weird, like, I don't know kind of energy. And so I think like a lot of the art industry has been operating, and community has been operating under that way where we're kind of coming out of um the clutches of those old mindset where, you know, we've been thinking so long about like, oh, we are only starving artists, and like even though we want to believe better and believe more of ourselves, like we're still kind of coming from this place where we're like, I guess the only way to be an artist is a starving artist. And we're kind of making that continuing to propagate that, honestly. And so it's really like a call to arms, a call to action, that I'm doing in my own work, with my business partner Lindsay Kirkendall. I don't know if you've seen any of her lives or any of her posts or any of her material content, but we've been working together for over a year now on this really important work that is so dear to us. Not in the sense that it's just like super impactful and super important, but also just how meaningful it is to us personally in our own lives. So everything that we're talking about in it and what we're trying to nurture in this work is literally what we're going through right now. So um, all of this talk about, you know, as I'm talking to you about how artists struggle with their value and embodying it fully, operating from that place and leaning into their artistic flow, which means that it is so counter to what the culture is saying to do, is like, you know, versus producing and hitting all the numbers. The artistic flow is much more feminine and it's much more intuitive, where it's like, okay, like maybe I create today. Maybe I don't create today. Maybe I rest today. Maybe I observe today. Maybe I'm creating today. Maybe I'm not. You know, maybe I'm feeling weighted. So I respond to that, you know? And so this whole kind of challenge to really, again, kind of like be the change that you want to see in the world, right? As I'm saying it to you, I'm saying it to myself. And I'm still struggling with this actively, where I'm like, okay, I want to show up as the embodied artist that fully believes in her value and is creating from a place of intention versus just listening to what people think or listening to what people tell me to do. And it's hard, let me tell you, but I fully believe that if we continue to do this work for ourselves, and then we continue to create a community around this work as we're doing, um, it'll continue to spread. It'll continue to spread, and it'll kind of reprogram the programs that have been just created so far, um, for artists, right? We're going to start deconstructing all of those lies, honestly. And so I'm really excited. So if you don't know what's happening in Emmy's world, again, if you have any questions, please shoot some up in the chats, some up in the comments. I'm here to support you guys. Um, I really am super passionate about artists understanding their value, and artists understanding their value so that they can make intentional, empowered decisions for their lives and their businesses. Because honestly, like business and life is all kind of convoluted as for an artist and creative. But I'm here to support you. So if you ever need a sounding board anytime, I'm here. But also every other Wednesday, I'm trying to show up consistently for you guys. But anyway, so back to the work that I am doing, that I'm kind of giving to the world to help support artists more, is the work that I'm doing with my business partner, Lindsay, like I mentioned. So we just created an ebook, which really breaks down kind of 4 truths about what we need to kind of overcome and what we need to master in terms of really helping ourselves create the impact that we desire. Because honestly, artists, yes, we love money in the sense that we need it and we want it because we need to live in this economy to be able to, you know, buy clothes and buy food. But at the end of the day, artists have a different metric of what makes them successful and how they feel successful. And it honestly has to come down with being seen, heard, and having freedom. And in that, like the beautiful byproduct of that is impacting others. So it's like It's like being whole and full and feeling healed in ourselves so that we can then really affect others. And honestly, it's about the process of our own healing and processing of things for ourselves that we then create the art, then which then impacts other people. It's such a beautiful process, honestly. Like when artists are able to really tap into themselves and really um embody their own process of why they're creating art, it's like a game changer. And I think for me, as it comes to my own process with my own relationship with my art, I'm a movement artist, a dancer, whatever you want to call me. I like to say movement artist because I'm at a point in my life where I'm like not a dancer in the sense that I'm like, I'm doing straight up choreo, and that's not really what I prefer anymore. I used to do that, but I've changed my relationship with my art to be more of like, okay, the canvas and my tools are my body. And so, how do I express my story? And also, like, curiously, how do I investigate and explore this thing that I have that's unique to me that nobody else has? And like is so unique in the sense that, like, yes, other people have bodies, but like mine is special because it has lived through a specific set of experiences and a life that nobody else has. And it's phenomenal to even think about what a gift it is. So for me, like, my artistry comes with my own curiosity about my body, my own background of how I've been raised and how what I've experienced in life and what I've been able to do, but also some of my movement training as well, as far as like styles and genres that I've devoted time and energy to learn. And then also just my own desire to speak through my body as far as stories or messages or concepts or whatever, right? And so, like, in my own process with my body, like, some days I'm feeling it, some days I'm not, and obviously the body is also the way that you experience the world. So it's like a double-edged sword for a dancer in particular. But still, I have the opportunity to really like dive into it. Um, and so back to the whole process thing, right? So for me in my own process with my own artistry, it's I found that as I've come to really beautiful places of like reconciliation with my body, um, it's been able to like unlock other ways of being creative in my own artistry. Like it feels like it's almost like giving me permission to be able to explore more and without fear, because like I've created this safety within my own body to be like, oh, okay, like this is for me. This is for me. And then when I'm able to be in that flow, without fear or restriction as much as possible, then that's when I see other people like being affected by it. And it's funny because like I don't even it doesn't matter if you're a dancer or non-dancer as we call them in the dance world. Like the people that are affected and impacted by my movement are just impacted, and that's it. And everybody takes away whatever they can, from wherever lens they're coming from, whatever perspective they've come from. Like they take whatever they can get from their art, and it works, right? It's so awesome. It's so beautiful. Um, and so, it's taking me such a long time to get to this point. And even now I'm struggling with trying to find time to, be and move in my body. And like my body has had a lot of like injuries and like little like shifts in it where it's almost like it's telling me that I'm like, hey, I need to slow down, or hey, I need to like spend more time with it. Um, and I haven't really been listening to that. And as such, it's just continuing to kind of compound the symptoms that I have. But it is kind of a note to me to be like, hey, slow down, right? Like take your time. But it's hard. It's hard living in a society where it's like you have to feel like you have to be doing something at all times, and you have to like prove yourself and your value by giving your time, which is so honestly the most precious asset to anybody, because like that's that you can't get back. Money you can always get or return or whatever, right? There's so many ways to like procure money these days. So it seems like it isn't as valuable as time. Um, but I say it and I share all that because I want to kind of peel back the layers and say, like, the work that I'm doing with Lindsay, as far as what we're trying to create, we're going to be creating a little coaching container. I mean, we don't even like using those words because it's more of like supportive space to help other creatives, female creatives in particular, be able to really embody their art and to find that permission and freedom inside themselves so that they can, you know, work from that place. Versus a lot of times, a lot of coaching and consulting, it's kind of like, oh, these are the metrics that you should abide by externally. So how do we make yourself get there? You know, but we're taking a different approach where it's like, let's start from the beginning. Let's just start feeling. How do we feel? How do we be? What does that even mean? You know? So it's pretty revolutionary. It's pretty revolutionary, which is funny because we're kind of calling it the artist revolution as far as what we're requiring of the artists. But if you haven't seen, again, this is like super early days, but process driven artist on Instagram, process driven artist, because that's kind of what we're trying to revolutionize. That's on Instagram. It's our new account. I don't think we have any posts up there, but please follow it. We'll get stuff up there shortly. We're working on it over the summer. If you haven't, you can follow me or Lindsay on our newsletters that we're posting. I just revamped mine, so be on the lookout. It's coming, and I will start, giving you little tidbits every month. Twice a month, I'll just tap in and be like, hey, what's up? This is what's happening. And hey, here's a little friendly tip to help you kind of on your process journey. And we're really excited. And in case I didn't mention it, I think I mentioned it before, but we have an ebook that we've written to really break down 4 truths to master in your process journey as an artist. And we're super excited. I'm definitely going to post the link to that in my link tree. Actually, I'm going to do that right now before I get off, or when I get off, because we're really passionate about really creating like a low-key revolution in the artist industry and community, because it's so important. This work that we're doing is so important. Like, thinking about who I was as a little girl and thinking about the purity and the beauty of my intention to want to, create and be seen and be heard. But that was kind of like squashed into being like, no, you should probably just do something that makes sense and is logical and appearingly safe, right? So I was like, oh, I'm going to be a dentist. Obviously, I'm not a dentist, right? Because that's not what my subconscious wanted, what Emmy really wanted. So I found my way to creativity at the end, but thinking about if I had that support and knowledge when I was little, man, what kind of life would I have lived of creativity and unabashed, artistry? And so, I mean, really, the sky's the limit for anybody who really taps into it and gives themselves permission. And so I'm here for it. I'm here for whoever needs help and assistance. And the last thing that I'm going to mention is that if you ever need a sounding board of any sort to help you kind of just get through thoughts, get through ideas, whether it be super business strategies or like just artistry in general, like, I'm here for it. I love those conversations. I love supporting dancers and artists. So please holler at me, and I will see you in 2 weeks. I will be a little more proactive about posting my lives so that you can send in questions and comments and beforehand so we can have some really juicy discussions. But I look forward to seeing you guys, and I will speak to you soon. What?